what's going on, everybody on YouTube? Another episode of Blackburn in Tech. To my subscribers and everybody that follows me, I greatly appreciate it. I know I haven't been making content as I normally do recently. I've been moving, as you can see, I'm kind of in a different place now. And it's slowly coming along, and I'm pretty sure you guys can tell that I have kind of a head cold right now, so I'm trying to do stuff, but it's going a little bit slower than I want. So one of the most recent requests I had, I posted out on my LinkedIn asking what kind of content would some people like to see, and a lot of it came down to like network troubleshooting, which kind of surprised me because I don't think about it because that's what I do every day. But if you're not used to troubleshooting something, how do you know where the break in communication is? So let's go ahead and jump in over on my computer, take a look real quick, and we'll do some basic troubleshooting, and then I'll make some suggestions. So if you want to get into more advanced troubleshooting, we can do that. All right, so over on my computer, I just have a command prompt open. This is not an administrative command prompt. You don't need one for this kind of thing. And so let's just say I'm trying to get to google.com and I can't get it in my web browser. Okay, can I open this up and go ping, if I can spell right? Apparently I can't, and anybody that knows me personally knows that I can't spell right most of the time. So I can see that I can ping google.com. So this tells me two things, that my DNS is working and my internet connection is working, because when I ping google.com, it's getting translated to this address. This is their public IP address. And when this means it's sending replies back, and here's how many bytes it sent, and here's the total time kind of thing. You don't have to be an expert at this, just if you get something like that, that lets you know that it's reachable. So that tells you that either your web browser's messed up on its DNS or something like that. Let's ping something that I know doesn't exist. Ping 172.16.4.5, for example. Now, this is what is known as a private IP address space. I know I don't have it on my network, so I'm not getting anything. So it's trying to reach out, but it's not getting anything. So what if I felt that there was something, like maybe I thought that was my address, something on mine. Like, for example, if I do ipconfig, make this a little top screen for you. So if I do ipconfig, you can see 172.16.5.3. So this is the subnet that I'm currently on. So a subnet's like how big of a network are you? So if you look at this where it says subnet mask, think of these as block this out, block this out, block this out, and it can be anything for this. So 172.16.5.1 through 254, for example, is valid addresses on my network. So if I try to ping 5.5, for example, that's in my subnet, right? And it doesn't have a clue. Destination host is unreachable. Now, personally, I know there's nothing on that address, but if I didn't, maybe I was trying to access it. Can I check anything else? Well, how do I know what networks my computer is even aware of? You can clear my screen, make it a little bit easier on you. Print. And this right here shows you the routing table that from the perspective of your computer. Now, if you have a router or a firewall or something like that, it's going to have a lot more routes in it because it's going to know a lot more about other devices. This one, it's kind of limited because it only knows about what it's connected to, and this computer only has one adapter currently connected. So if we zoom in, let's go ahead and kind of break this down real quick, and we're not going to go into too much detail on what every single thing is, but this 0.0.0, this is what is known as your default route. So if it doesn't know, it's going to go here. So it's going to send everything it doesn't know about to this .1 address. And where is that address connected off of? My .3. So if I had multiple adapters on this computer, that's where it would send it. Now, if you look at this, like I said, some of this we're not going to go into too much detail. So these are like loopback addresses. But 5.0 right here. So this tells me that this is the subnet that it can see. And right here, it knows about itself, so it put a route to itself. So if I want to ping it, so it can ping itself. Now, one of the questions that I've been asked, well, if I can ping its physical address or I can ping that loopback address, what's the difference? Physical address, it's going to really actually send it all the way down the TCP UDP stack, or the stack, versus if you use the loopback, it's going to be more of a logical. And if you're not familiar with that, let me pull this up real quick. So this is like, this was known as the OSI model and the TCP model. Everybody has the ones that they like or they don't like. Personally, I prefer the OSI model because it's a little clearer for me. So physical layer means like the physical cables. So basically, when I pinged my actual IP address, it went through all of this part up top, which is like the stuff that most of us that are not like programmers care about. Then it sent it down to that port number, out to that IP address, down to that data link layer, down to the physical, and then it sent it back up, kind of thing. Think of it as like a ping pong ball. That's the easy way to follow this. Okay, now what about stuff out on the internet? How do I know where my connections, like if I couldn't ping that google.com, where do I know that where did it break at, kind of thing? There's a program called Traceroute, or in Windows land, it's Traceroute. So what that does is that traces the route out to that location. So I'm going to go ahead and try and type this again. And for those who know me personally, or if you've ever watched my videos, you know my spelling is it's questionable some days. So when I do this, it's going to trace this route. So if for some reason I couldn't get to google.com, I might be able to see where the breakdown is in. So 172.16.5.1, that's mine. So if it got to there and stopped, then I know it's something internal, right? That's a problem. But especially if you look at it from like think of a larger business where you might have multiple routers set up inside that business that you have to have special permissions, or if you're doing VLANs or all sorts of other complicated stuff you can be doing, then that's where that breakdown would actually transpire at. Now, sometimes you'll see where it times out, and it all depends down onto the service provider whether they respond to this or not. Basically, what it does is that where it said that TTL, that stands for time to live, and it's supposed to send a message back. Some ISPs will respond back, like as you can see, and others won't. But if I couldn't ping google.com, I could at least use this as a good troubleshooting tool. And as you can see there was some delay for this one to come back. So I don't know, maybe they're having some issues. So one of the things that we might have to think about, say this is voice traffic, and this is that I'm trying to troubleshoot. Say maybe it's not Google, maybe it's my VoIP provider. What is my millisecond delay? If we look at this, we're up to 61 milliseconds right there. On this one, 55, 53 milliseconds. So there's some major delay going on there. Now, is it good or bad? It depends on what your agreement is with them, or if it's a higher level one. Like, for example, as you can see, mine's with Charter right here. So once it leaves the Charter network and goes out to somebody else, there's not as great of communications. So it comes down to trying to troubleshoot and figure out where the breakdown actually is. Now, what about if you're not even getting an IP address? Okay, let me go ahead and stop that. What about if, hey, I can't get out on the internet at all. I'm running DHCP on my firewall or my switch, or something's doing DHCP, so it's supposed to be handing addresses to my computers. But what happens if somebody else plugs one in? Is it routing traffic then for your network? Could be. One thing you would want to check is do ipconfig/all. And as you can see, it'll give you a whole ton of information. So let me go ahead and zoom in on which adapter should we pick on. I have a few virtual ones because this one is gets used for a little bit of, this computer gets used for a little bit of everything. So if we look at this physical adapter, so when I was talking about those MAC addresses, this right here is the MAC address of this computer. So if it's reaching out on the network through like your switches, that's what it's using. Is it enabled for DHCP? Is it going to try and use DHCP to get out on the internet? Yes. If it says no, then do you have it set correctly? And so auto configuration, yes. So it can dynamically change it. So here was the IP address that it got and the subnet mask that it was told to use. And then right down here is probably one of the ones that really will mess up your communications more than anything. DHCP servers. So 5.1, which is the gateway here, is acting as a DHCP server. But what if somebody, like I said, somebody plugged in something and it got, say it's on .200, and it's telling you that the default gateway is .200 and the DHCP server was .200. So that means that either somebody plugged something in and has it misconfigured, or somebody's trying to do something they probably shouldn't be doing on your network. So definitely take a look at that. And then for troubleshooting that, that's a little more advanced. You're going to have to go through one by one, check your area kind of thing. Now, DNS servers, basically, if you're old enough like me to remember phone books, where you used to have the person's name and you look over next to it and it had their phone number. That's basically what this is. That's all DNS is it's a big phone book. I'm currently using Cloudflare and Google's. You might host your own internal and you'll have a private IP address there. At this location, I am using public DNS servers. And I've overridden mine because I wanted to use my own. Maybe you're something that one of your clients you're at a client's site and they can't access a file share for whatever reason, and they're doing it by name, but if you do it by IP, it's fine. So that might be that'll be DNS then saying you want to check here and see if it's looking at the correct DNS server. Does it have access to talk to that DNS server? Now, NetBIOS over TCP, that's something you don't really have to worry about too much. But that's, for the most part, a good summary of that. Now, there's a few other programs that you can use for, let me pull up, see if I can pull up one of them. So there's quite a few other programs you can use for advanced troubleshooting. Personally, you'll hear most network admins or network engineers, network architects swear by a packet capture. Like that's one of the first things they want to do once it gets to like that kind of level, because basically you're capturing all of those packets and you're going to be able to see inside of them. So a tool that's really helpful, share my screen again, is this program right here. It's Wireshark. It's a very powerful tool. If you want to learn more about it, there's plenty of content out there on it. I personally use the one through IT Pro TV. I'll go ahead and drop a link or card in the video wherever the cards go. I did a video on their service. They have a Wireshark course on there, which was very helpful for me because I personally I knew about it. I know how to do some basic things, but there's a lot more advanced stuff you can do within it. And I felt it to be very beneficial. So hopefully this has been informative for you. And if you have any suggestions on any other content you'd like to see as far as IT networking, virtualization, or whatever, feel free to send me a message. Put it in the comments. I try to pay attention to all the comments. Sometimes I'm not always that successful, especially when moving. And where I've been sick, I really haven't been as active as I should be. Well, hopefully this has been helpful, and have a good day. Thanks.